Good morning, all our PMOfficers global community. Thank you very much for coming. Another session of reflections, PMOfficer and Friends 2021. Well, I'm so happy. I know every session we invite is coming very special people around the globe. Yes, all the time is the same thing. But today I'm special, very happy because I have the huge pleasure to talk today with Bill Dow. He's a director of Enterprise PMO of University of Washington Medicine, USA. If not, Bill, you are going to say correctly, okay?
Yeah.
But he's a very good friend. He is the, for my point of view, obviously, is the very few guys that really speak correctly about a PMO from my point of view. Everybody knows me. I'm all the time watching, listening, learning about the PMO phenomenon. But Bill, I'm following you since I think 3, perhaps 4 years ago, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
You coming to Barcelona? We share a very good time in
Yeah. It was
Barcelona.
great.
I don't know,
It was
2
great.
years ago,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
around there. Yeah. It was great. Really appreciate you taking me around the town and stuff and seeing the town. That was awesome.
very fast. The time is flying.
It
But
does.
here we are again,
Yeah.
now in virtual session. So Bill, thank you very much for coming. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, really. Believe me that you are coming with us for sharing your thoughts about
Yeah.
Reflection PM Officer and Friends to 2021, the present and the future of the project and product management office. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for allowing me to be here. I'm thrilled with that. And again, thanks for taking me and my family around Barcelona. It was amazing to see your city and how proud you are of your city, too. That was awesome. I'm so glad to be here. I have 30 years of experience in PMOs. We've been connected for a while. I've managed 10 PMOs. I'm on my 10th PMO right now. It's not an enterprise PMO. It's one of many PMOs. We are the largest though at University of Washington. We have 35 employees. We do about 90 projects on an ongoing basis. And we've got a tremendous amount of projects coming at us next fiscal because we're just so busy right now in the medical space. So, but I'm thrilled to be here and really thrilled to talk to you today.
Awesome, Bill. Yeah, this is wonderful. When we are talking with great colleagues that they are leading, no, it's more than project management. They are leading a global portfolio on programs and projects and products at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. It's very difficult. And in nowadays, all related about medicine or
Yeah,
pharmacy,
yeah,
what else, laboratories, all these stuff, no, all these kind of
yeah.
topics. Oof, everybody's running, no?
Well, it's amazing to be in medical or in healthcare right now, right? I've spent
Okay.
10 years or 14 years, sorry, at Microsoft.
Mhm.
And then I moved to University of Washington, and what a time to be involved in medical. My PMO is very active actually in the vaccine distribution. We were active in the surge planning. So talk about really being in the middle of it and how a PMO can play a role in this process has just been tremendous.
Wow, awesome. So, okay, it's wonderful. So many things to share with us
Yeah,
today. So
lots.
let's start.
Sure.
We have 5 questions and one final reflection from your point of view, representing yourself, Bill Doe, okay, in your personal point of view, personal experience, very long and very intensive professional PMO experience. So, Bill, question number one.
So I do, and like I said, I have 10 PMOs under my belt. I've done this 10 times. Okay. I don't know. There's a lot of people that have done 10 PMOs across 3 different companies. And so why it's really around consistency. I think there's really three big components. Okay. One is consistency. If I have 29 or 30 project managers in my current PMO and we're running 90, 85, 90 projects, I need that consistency. I need the consistency in how they're delivering. I need this consistency on the status reports, on their schedules, their risk and issue logs, because it's too massive. There's too many of them going on. I can't have 6 project managers doing something one way and 5 doing another and 2 doing another. I need that consistency, and a PMO will bring that consistency. The second is a governance view. When you think about governance, right, and you think about all the projects we have, you've got to have that governance. You've got to understand what value are these projects and programs bringing, why are we doing them, and how are they moving the business forward. So consistency, governance, and then one of the biggest struggles we've had is resource usage, right? How are we using our resources across our programs and projects? I may have one project manager that got 5 projects, one's got 2, one's got 3, and that's okay as long as the usage of these resources makes sense, right? Because there's different sizes and complexities, and people can handle different amounts of projects. But when you think across 600-700 people, how are we using our resources across the board? So PMOs just bring that consistency, that governance view, and that resource view that is really critical for any organization.
Awesome. I'm full agree. I just put it in a very small part of your 2 points. Just the change management, just part of the machinery. So
Yeah.
no, it's hard to everything you are sharing.
Yeah.
How can we to give information? No, the complete all the company and outside the company. No, it's
Yeah.
very difficult.
But these 3 areas, though, that I called out in change management, I'll just jump on change management in a second. These 3 areas are critical. That what I don't
Absolutely.
see, though, is I don't when you companies don't have PMOs, or I'm interviewing, I'm talking to companies, they say, we have no idea what our resources are doing. Our customers don't get the same status reports. They don't get the same view. We have no governance in place, right? So every time when we approach PMOs, we go, okay, what are we doing? What are people working on? How do we get that consistency? How do we get that ongoing? We're providing value and we're bringing value to the company. And I think that's a key point. Now, you just touched upon it. It's a huge passion for mine, but it's organizational change management, like ProSci, Connor. There's a ton of different models out there. And I think the PMO has to be a leader in the org change management process as well. I love ProSci. I've been certified multiple times. I absolutely love it. And I'm trying to drive ProSci and that change management within how we execute our projects. But again, you got to crawl, walk, run with some of this stuff, right? You can't achieve everything from the very beginning. You literally have to, figure out some of the real big pain points of the business, solve those pain points, and then grow with ProSci or change management, grow with these various other things.
Absolutely, I fully agree. I hoping that CIOs or CTOs or this kind or a sponsor of PMO, hoping is watching, is listening and watching your point of view because it's very important because these people is who are looking for a
Yeah.
PMO or who
Yeah.
is looking for who is going to help them for all these tricky factors.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Of course.
No, the next question is very related about your one of your key factors. So question number 2, what skill do you consider a member, all member, it doesn't matter the level, a member of a PMO should have?
Yeah. I love that question because, I think when you think about a PMO and you think about project management, portfolio or program management in general, right? Because most of our PMOs consist of those things. We really think about the art and science of project management. So I think PMO members have to have that soft skills, that art, the relationship building, the customer service, right? And then they have to have the science, which means they have to fill in the risk logs and the schedule logs, and they have to be able to execute their projects. So if you're going to be a member of the PMO, when I interview people for PMO, what I do is I really go deep into, tell me about the art and science of project management. Tell me what you think about that. And I have project managers that can have amazing relationships and just do amazing things with their customers, but they can't fill in a project schedule, or they don't know how to fill in a risk log, or I don't care about the risk log, and go, hold on. Or have the other way around. They have the amazing risk and issue logs, and they have amazing tacticals of how they deliver the project, but they have horrible customer relationships. So I think that component for any PMO member, the art, the relationship, and then also being able to tactically execute the project, I think it's critical. The other component I think is really, really important for a member of the PMO is to care about the PMO. So what do I mean by that? So a lot of project managers think, I am here to execute projects, right? And they execute these projects, and they do a great job. But they're part of an organization. And so what I'm trying to do, and I have tried to do, is let's turn some of those good thoughts and that into, how do we better the organization? Let's take an example. If I have my project managers collecting lessons learned throughout the life of the project, how do other project managers gain from that person collecting lessons learned? How do they gain by going into a centralized repository? Well, they gain because they're sharing information real time, and everyone's growing and everyone's improving. So I've really tried to focus on my 35 or 30 people, whatever it is in my organization right now, actually looking inside and saying, how do I grow the organization? So part of my interview process is not only art and science, is, well, what can you bring to the organization? I love the fact that you can deliver projects. That's great. There's a million project managers out there. But what do you bring to the organization? How do you grow the organization, make it better? And I think PMOs are unique that way, because I don't think HR has to sell the organization. I don't think finance has to sell the organization. So I think PMOs have to sell and have to constantly be growing. And I want 30 brains, 30 people looking inside saying, this is why I'm part of the PMO, and this is how I grow the PMO.
Absolutely. This is the great challenge for many PMOs, because in most probably, at least in Spain and the other countries in Latin America that I have contact every day,
Yeah.
that this is a misunderstood, or is missing the leadership, because everybody needs to lead. And if everybody are together improving and helping each other, is growing as a
Yeah.
team, as PMO, and is helping to the organization and
Yeah.
keep growing as well. It's
Yeah.
not the only the role that is leading the PMO, is
Yeah.
all members.
Yeah.
Full agree, my friend.
Yeah.
Full agree.
Yeah, I don't think it sits on the sole shoulders of the PMO director, manager, whatever it is. It sits on the organization. And I think PMOs are different than finance, different than HR, right? No one's ever going to say, well, we don't need an HR. Well, of course, you always need an HR department. But how many times do they say, well, we don't need a PMO, right? All the time. And so if we got 30 people thinking, well, wait a second, I'm here to deliver projects, but also part of my skill set is I also have to keep growing and selling the organization. I think that's a critical component as well.
Absolutely. Full agree. So so many things, okay, at the same, in only one question, only one response,
Yeah.
okay, is wonderful. But you mentioned it, that not only one person, only one role into the disorder have to charge everything now, be a PMO. I'm completely agree. So in question number 3,
Mhm. Well, so in as in the PMOs I've ran, so I've ran 10 across 3 companies. And I say that for a reason. I say that because I've had different roles with the same title. Okay. And it all depends on the size of the company, it depends on the type of PMO. The role changes very dramatically, right? So, for example, I was a PMO manager of a supportive PMO. So, to define my role was about templates, about best practices, around how many PMP certifications I could run, PMP brown bags, that type of thing. I've ran a PMO manager and a directive PMO where I had project managers reporting to me, right? So it's really tough to define exactly what a PMO manager or director or lead's going to do, whatever the title. It's because it's going to be based on the company, the type of PMO, and the specific needs of that company at that time. Right, so we could switch and say, hey, this is a supportive PMO, but you know what? We now need to pull some project managers underneath you, and we now need to start doing executing some projects. Therefore, it would switch the type of PMO. Therefore, your job description, your duties and responsibilities would shift based on the type of PMO.
Uh, I love this reflection. For all the audience, you know that since the past 5 years, more or less, I defending that the leader of the PMO, they should call it, name it, a title, PM officer. As a company have a CIO, a company have a CTO, it doesn't matter organization. All these companies have this kind of roles. It's very defined, it's very explained in the job description. It doesn't matter the industry, the kind of organization, the size, it doesn't matter. Everyone have a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, or Chief Information Officer, or Chief Operations Officer, but if they are going to have a PMO, why don't have a PM officer that is the lead?
Yeah.
Is my opinion for avoiding mistakes, and PMO manager is a specific role, a business analyst PMO another specific role, a director of PMO is another specific role that most probably is depending or is um, uh, in the top-down structure from a PM officer. If you are a global, in a global PMO, in a yeah, in a global, in your case, most probably you are leading 10 PMOs at the same time, okay? Every PMO behind you, okay, or below you, sorry, they have his own PM officer with, is my
Yeah.
point of view, yes, a reflection, but you are the
Yeah.
leader, the PM officer, global PM officer, all the is my reflection, I'm defending, yes,
Yeah.
closing the parentheses. It's very complicated. That's why I
It is.
always
Yeah.
try to do
And
this
again,
question.
it's going to depend on the size of the company, right? The size of the company is going to drive how many layers of PMOs you're going to have, right? And so,
Right.
so you'd be really so small little companies just can't have that many layers. We don't currently have that now. I'm driving, a single PMO with 30 plus people. But it's a massive PMO, but we don't have other PMOs underneath us at this time. I've had that scenario, but I don't at this time.
Okay. Great. Great. Okay. Related. We are related. All these questions is taking
Yeah,
another one.
yeah.
So, question number 4.
And again, what I would say is it's going to depend on the size of the company. It's going to depend on the org structure and how many layers, right? You think about a company like Microsoft from Satya all the way down, there's many, many layers there, right? And so my company right now, there's not that many layers. And so where does the PMO sit? I would say it's going to depend on the size of the company and the layers, but I would flip that question and say a little bit with where does the PMO sit from? Do they have a seat at the strategy table? Because that's ultimately what you're saying, right? I could be 25 layers down from Satya all the way down, but if I have a seat at the strategy table, and I have a seat that I can lead the direction and where the organization's going. Where I sit in the org chart doesn't matter. But it does matter, and I know where you're going with this. It does matter because the higher up you are, the more leverage and the more chances you get to sit at that table, and therefore you're part of the strategic direction on how the organization's moving forward, right? So if
Right.
you're in a smaller company and you don't have that many layers, I still think your main goal as a PMO director and a PMO lead is to get that seat at that strategy table, right? Regardless of where you sit in the organization. If you're at a higher level and you've got a larger company, you've got lots of layers, PMOs most likely sit, a lot of PMOs sit in IT. They just feel like they're IT related. But and so sometimes they sit under a BP of IT or a CIO of IT. Again, it's going to depend on the size and the complexity of that org structure. But again, I would say the focus is how do I get a seat at that strategy table? And how do all the programs and projects and portfolios that I'm executing, how does that help drive your business forward? And if the people get that at the top, if they get that, they understand that, regardless of where you sit, you'll get a seat at that table.
Okay, so
Make sense?
who do you, no, wonderful. So who do you think the PM officer or director PMO or whoever the role should report to?
So again, most of the times it should fall within. Most of the times it falls within IT, right? So there could be a CIO of IT, there could be a director of IT, but it generally falls in IT in most cases. Again, for IT based companies, right? It's not going to
Yeah.
fall in a IT for a Boeing or for a large manufacturing plant, right? But generally, it's going to fall within that up to that director or CIO or VP type of level. But again, it's a broad question because of the complexity of the organizations and where things fall. My PMOs have always been IT based.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know that it's a tough question.
Yeah, it is a tough question. But you
Okay,
want them as high as possible because you want to drive that strategy, right? So you
that's
want to
right.
get them at the highest level.
That's right. That's the question because it's depending of the organization who is going to be the sponsor. Is related, connected.
Yeah.
Okay, okie dokie.
Yeah. And this is also why PMOs, this is why I have 10, because PMOs come and go, right? And if they're not at that highest level, and that or if they are at the highest level and that highest level goes, the next highest level person may come in and go, you know what, we don't need PMOs anymore. Let's get rid of them, right? So this is why PMOs come and go so fast, because the highest level comes and goes so fast, right? You have roughly a 3 to 5 year range of any CIO, right? And so if you're in that 3 to 5 year range and your CIO loves your PMO, it's going to last. If you hit 5 years, the CIO leaves, your PMO is always in question, right? And so you gotta also try to get to that highest level. Just keep that seat at the table. That's why I'm saying, regardless of where you're at, if they know that you're driving strategy for the org, then CIOs can come and go. You'll still have a good seat at the table.
I'm agree. Wonderful. Question number 5.
Yeah, I think they're critical. I think they're critical, and I think they're going to be needed for years to come. We have this wave of we need PMOs, we don't need PMOs, we need PMOs. I think we're a little bit away from that wave, and we're seeing that steady state of we need PMOs, right? And the reason is, and there's a couple reasons, but what we're doing is we're delivering so fast, we're delivering so much that we need that PMO to bring it all in. We need to understand, like we said, that consistency, right? That what value is it? We can't have people going off and buying their own this and buying their own that and having their own, projects going on. We need that consistency. So the PMO is going to bring that consistency. It's going to bring that, what are we doing to bring value to the organization? And so the other scenario, what I see is we still struggle with, we need waterfall, we need agile. We're, in the IT space, we're really struggling. I think we've, when agile first came out, and I love agile, I've got my certifications, I absolutely love it. But I think there's still that need around the business or the CIOs or the top level saying, how much is this going to cost and when do you go live? Right. And so because we don't have, every company switching over to that Spotify model, right, where everyone, we can move the people to this incremental releases on an ongoing basis, we need the PMO to bring that stability. We need roadmaps. We need to know where we're heading. And I think with agile, we're still working to get that water scrum or that waterfall nailed in. And once we get that nailed in, I think we'll be fine. But I think the PMO really helps drive that.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully, that your viewers can, can take some of these nuggets and drive their organizations with it.
Wonderful. Bill, I having a wonderful good time.
Thanks.
Wonderful good time. It's very, the time is very, it's like a Speedy Gonzalez. It's flying. It's, woof,
Yeah. Yeah. It
it's
goes by fast. Yeah.
very, very fast. So we are at the end of this
Okay.
talk. So the final reflection.
I wrote a couple books on that, so I love this stuff. I'm very very passionate about it. I think when you approach it, you have to approach it with a passion, right? You have to be looking at, how do we build this? How do we do good? How do we drive really excellence in what we're doing and building this PMO, right? I don't think I love the crawl, walk, run. You don't have to solve everything overnight. There is always that shining star, right? Let's bring AI. Let's bring, all these other things out there. Let's actually start delivering. Like, let's hit our projects. Let's get our projects delivering on time and on budget, right? And I know we're supposed to say with value. I get that, but let's just have some projects deliver on time and on budget first, and then we'll worry about value. So when you're bringing in projects, or when you're bringing in and building a PMO, just really do it slowly and carefully, and really understand along the way how to bring people along to the journey that you're doing. And that's that change management we talked about earlier, right? When you're building a PMO, they're going to understand why. Why are you going to do this? What value is it going to bring? And then bring people along the way. And you don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to be a complete Power BI, AI, robots, all this stuff. You don't have to do that. Just really nail a good solid PMO and then grow to it and grow on it. That's where would be my best advice, is really crawl, walk, run with this stuff, nail it and then grow, nail it and then grow. I think you're on mute.
I love it. See, I love it. Your final reflection, Bill, because all we are passionate about this.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to keep growing, to improvement every
Yeah.
day. No,
Yeah.
the sunshine. Sorry,
Yeah.
is every day is a new day. So in this
But
case,
people
we
get, yeah, but people get caught in the greatest thing, right? Like AI for PMOs are out now. So okay, so I'm a PMO director. I have to run and do AI. Calm down. Like, what is AI going to do for you? What is the value of AI, right? Because and so people are always worried about getting that next thing. And I'm saying nail the basics first, right? Nail delivering projects, because we still see such a high failure rate in our projects. Well, why is that? Right? Why are we failing so many projects after doing it for so many years? So don't chase the shiny object. Stay inside, but grow, because people are learning every day and you're growing every day. But it doesn't mean you have to blow up your PMO and go after the latest and greatest all the time until you're actually nailing the basics. Customers want the basics. They want their projects delivered on time and on budget. So
I'm agreeing. Right here, we are all the time mentioned that you can give or you can do less. Menos es más. No, you say less is more much, or it's something like this.
less
My
is
point
more.
is
Less is
less
more.
is more. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Less is more.
Yeah,
So
I live by that. I live by crawl, walk, run all the time. It's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's get it out
no,
there and let's adjust. But at least you're getting it out there, right? At least you're learning and you're growing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing's perfect when you start. But if you don't put small increments, then you're never growing and you're never improving. And that's where you quickly become stale, right? That's where you're like, well, I'm not avoiding AI. I'm just going, well, what?
no, no,
Like, what is it, and how would it help me, and how would it help grow?
yeah.
That's the key. Crawl, walk, run. Crawl, walk, run. So if I've learned anything, don't just crawl with some of this stuff. And it's all because people can't adapt the change as fast as you want to change it, and it's all about change management. So, if I go, okay, in my PMO, we're doing AI, and they go, whoa, hold on, what, right? Let's start looking into AI. What could that do, right? That type of thing. So, crawl, walk, run is what I would suggest.
Wonderful. Really hoping is the sponsors of PMO currently or next one, who are
Yeah,
thinking to design and implement in the near future a PMO is listening,
yeah,
because is the best way to learn is listening people who is really acting, who
right.
is really executing, who really experience leading about PMO. It doesn't matter. We are not absolutely. I'm agree with you. We are not perfect. We are, from my point of view, we are not experts because every day we are keep learning. We are still learning every day. That's
Yeah,
why we are not experts, because we are learning every day.
yeah. Yeah,
So
and I'm doing it every day. So I'm actually in it, doing it
exactly.
every day. So as coronavirus hits us, as AI hits us, as all these things hit it, as a director of a PMO, I got to go, okay, well, how's that going to work? What should we do about that? How do we support this? Right. So we're always growing, we're always learning, but we're always balancing the trade-offs too. It doesn't mean I have to jump on this. It doesn't mean I have to jump on that. Let's get the basics down first, right? And so I think we struggle. We have such a high project failure rate. Well, all those project failures fall into a PMO for some, or most of the times do fall into a PMO. So why is that? Right. And so we have to unpeel that and unpack that a little bit, but I'm sure that's for another day.
Another day, another forum, and
That's right.
another space that we are going to invite to Bill for another
Be great.
event that we are going to present from PM officers. The doors
Yeah.
open always
Yeah.
from Bill Dow with us in the present and the future of the project and product management offices. Bill, thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you. Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me. I always love talking to you and sharing time with you. You're a great friend and I love the work that you're doing. So keep going.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Okay.
See you very, very soon in another things that we have on the table. We have enhanced and other things, and you
That'd
are
be
going to
great.
most welcome.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From Barcelona, Spain to Washington, USA,
Seattle, Washington. Yeah.
Seattle, Washington. Thank you very much, Global Community PM officers. Thank you very much. We see you in the next Reflections PM Officer and Friends 2021 session.